Hi. Minu, I just let you in. Trying to get my, let's see. All right, there we are. So, I'm going to wait just a little while for some people to get on so you can see what I'm doing. And you know what? I'm going to change my phone while we wait. I'm going to put you over here. Just hang tight. I'm going to go this way instead. So you can see what I'm doing. Okay, that's much better. All right, so what we're doing today is I just painted this little cutie a little while ago, and what I have here is I have a ton of these little, this is actually a 2x4. And the first thing I do with my 2x4s is I stain them because I like the way the finished product is when you stain your 2x4 first. And I'm going to show you why when I start actually putting paint on the 2x4. So I sell these as little, I call them little shelf sitters, and it's one of my most popular items that I sell. So I wanted to show y'all how I make them. And since you guys were so interested in hydrangeas, I thought I would paint some hydrangeas. So what we're going to do is I didn't do the back yet, but I started painting on some of the 2x4s, but I'm going to start with a blank one, and I'm going to show you how I start the process with this. I first start with a palette knife, and let me get all of my stuff together here. I first start with a palette knife, and I'm going to use, let me put some tape and show you my palette. I'm actually using like a little shiny piece of paper. That is my shipping label paper after I peel off the shipping labels when I ship things off. I use this paper and then I just throw it away after it gets full of paint. So what are we going to need to do this? We're going to need, of course, a palette knife. And just a small paintbrush, and that's really about it. So the way that I did this one is I started with a yellow behind it. And I mean, you don't have to start with a yellow. You can start with a gray or a green or a purple or whatever colors. Just think in your head, most hydrangeas are either that really pretty white with a little bit of green in them, or the really pretty bluish purple, or the really pretty pink. So whatever color you decide to go with for the flower, you want a contrasting color on the back side of it. So since I decided that I was going to go with the purple or blue, most people call this a blue hydrangea. Since I decided I was going to go with that, I knew that in my color wheel, a good contrasting color to that would really make it pop would be a pretty yellow. So that's why I chose the yellow. So I'm going to do the same thing again, but then I actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 of these that I'm going to paint, and I'm actually going to sell them, and I ship them off to an art store, and some of them I sell on my Etsy shop. But I am going to show you how to paint these if you want to paint one for yourself. All right, I started with yellow and white, and this is basically all I'm going to do. I'm going to take my, you can do this on canvas or whatever you have around, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take my palette knife, and I'm just going to take a little bit of both colors. I'm not going to mix, I'm just going to take a little bit of both colors, and I'm going to throw it on this board. Now I'm scraping. Notice when I scrape, you can see the wood grain behind it. And that is the beauty of painting on wood and using a palette knife, because I'm going to show you the difference if I use a palette knife or if I use a brush. So let me show you if I decide to use a brush, which you can use a brush. There's no problem in using a brush at all, but I want to show you the difference. Now I'm going to take this brush, and I'm just going to put the paint on. Look at that. Okay? It goes on completely different. Now, if you don't have a palette knife and you want to get the effect that I have on this wood, and all you have is a paintbrush, that's fine. Go ahead, put your paint on like this. And I'm just like, pretty much just throwing it on. I would do the sides, the top, the bottom, and the back. Now, I didn't do the back of this one yet because the whole thing wasn't dry yet. And so I am going to go ahead and do the back because it's going to look a lot better when I do the back as well. Okay, if you don't have a palette knife, just go ahead and take, it could be like an old credit card or anything. It could be an old a butter knife, whatever you want, just so it has like a straight edge. And just push and push and push. And look what it does to the background. It just makes it so pretty. So, yes, you can use a paintbrush to do this. Not a problem at all. All right, so let's get back to this one. I'm showing you how to do this one. So I'm picking up a bunch of paint, throwing it on the piece of board. And I see I have a few people following me here. I am the messiest painter. I just want to let you know. So don't feel bad if you... I've had some people say that they were really messy painters as well. I have a drop cloth down here on the floor. And even though I have a drop cloth on the floor, I miss the drop cloth and it still gets on the floor because I'm that messy. I'm messy in everything I do, like cooking, folding clothes, whatever it is, it's just a part of my nature. So if you see a lot of mess around me, that's just the way I work. Unfortunately, you wouldn't believe that I was a teacher, a high school teacher for almost 25 years, would you? I'm trying to see if I can find your comments, if anybody's commenting. Okay, there we go. I have comments on. Okay, there we go. I see I have one comment, but I don't know how to get it. Hi, Jen. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jessica. I am making this. I am making a hydrangea shelf sitter. So this is a really popular item. I've been selling these for a couple of years now. Because they're inexpensive and they still give you a pretty piece of original artwork in your home, and they can be seasonal. You know, you could put them in those cute little, like on your kitchen table. A lot of people use those like tier type centerpieces where they put like different little things. And I say that because I'm like a farmhouse style person. My style is country. I'm originally from Louisiana. We live in Montana now. We just moved here. But I'm originally born and raised in Louisiana. And so my style, I grew up hunting and fishing and living in the country. So my style is that farmhouse style, that country, old rustic. I love the rustic. And if I could paint on wood only, I would paint on just wood. I actually started my business just making wood signs because I love working with wood and like distressing wood and stuff like that. But then it got to be a little overwhelming because wood is a lot of work to work with, especially when you expect your husband to go out after he gets home from work and make like pallet boards for me and stuff. Yeah, he didn't really care for that much. After a while, it got to be a little too much. So, hi from California, Jessica. Good. I'm glad that's your style, Debbie, because that is definitely what you will see here is the more rustic, the better. So I want you to see something else that I did here. If you notice, after I finish the painting and it dries, I add a little bit of like black paint to the edges to kind of make it look like that distressed look, even though it's not distressed. But because I took the wood and I use an oil-based stain. I take the wood and I stain it with Minwax stain. And I think what I use is dark walnut. And I've stained them last night, so I let them sit overnight. And what happens is when you add this acrylic paint on top of, and this is just my technique. I didn't learn this from anybody, but I just like the way it came out. When you add that paint on top of the stained wood, look how pretty when you use a palette knife. You can see all of the grains come through on the wood. So it just makes such a pretty backdrop to work with. So that's just a great tip that you would probably like to know. All right, so I'm going to take one of these. Let's see, this one looks like it's pretty dry. I'm going to take one of these that I've already done the background of, and I'm going to start painting my hydrangea. So I just basically kind of made this up. I go on Pinterest and I look at a picture of, like a real life picture of a hydrangea, and I just kind of, I don't know, I usually print it out and I use it to kind of give me an idea of what my painting is going to look like. But this time I just used my my iPad while I was painting. And I painted that one earlier today. So now this is my second time painting it. All right. Most popular paints that you will need if you are wanting to paint with me. Most popular paints, red, blue, and yellow. And then, of course, your black and white. Red, blue, and yellow are your three primary colors that, I'm looking for my blue real quick, that you can actually, I'm a big mixer of paint colors. This made a mess. See, I told you I'm messy. I don't know if y'all can see this or not, but I'm making a mess. You can make almost any color out of red, blue, and yellow. So I use lots of red, blue, and yellow. I do still buy, like, I don't know if you just noticed, this is a light yellow because I go to the store or I go online, and especially at the store when I go like to Hobby Lobby. They don't have a Michael's here where we live now, so I'll have to go to Hobby Lobby, but I was an addict at Michael's. I would just start picking up all different colors because they're so pretty when they're already mixed together. And then you don't have to worry about mixing your colors. So I do have a lot of already mixed colors that I just grab. I like to use folk art because it's a little bit thicker than your cheaper paints, like your Craft Smart paints that you can buy at Walmart. But those paints still do work. They're just a lot more watery than the paints I have here. Another one of my popular paints. Hey, from South Louisiana. Hey, Brittany. How are you? I miss my peeps from Louisiana. I use a lot of this paint too. This is a professional grade paint though. It's a heavy body because I like to do, I don't know if you noticed on this, and I don't know if you can see the texture. A lot of my paintings have texture, but what I'm going to show you one day is how you can still get that texture even though you use cheap paint. There's an additive that you can add to the paint that gives you that heavy body feel, and you can get that texture there. So anyway, I'm just showing you some things that, just in case you're looking at getting started. And I am starting an Amazon store. They just haven't approved me yet, because as you notice, if you're new, you notice that this component of my business is new. I have been painting for about 5 years, but I haven't taught painting. I was a teacher. I was a high school teacher for 25 years in the public school system in Louisiana. And I retired, and I divorced, I retired, I remarried, and my husband is a combat veteran, and he is a gypsy at heart, and he has always wanted to live in the mountains. So here we are, across the country from where I grew up. But it's a great adventure. Ever since I married him, or we've been together for like 8 or 9 years, and it's just one big adventure after another. And I love it. So he, when we married, he wanted me to stay home. He wanted me to be home when he got home. And he's a licensed counselor now. He works with veterans at the local VA hospital. And you're going to get to know Michael pretty well, because he's going to be a part of this business because of the mental health side of it. That's why my logo is Art for the Soul. I know I'm going off track a little bit, but I think it's some good information for you to know. So, yeah, he is a big part of the reason why I started my online business, is because he wanted me to be home when he got home from work. And it's actually the best thing I could have ever done. But I knew that I wasn't done teaching or working, so I knew I had to find something to do, and this is what happened. And it's been the best thing ever. So oh, Brittany, I lived in I taught in Sanama for 23 years. My kids went to Sanama High School. I'm originally from Avals Parish in like the central part of Louisiana, but I raised my kids in Ascension Parish. So, and I lived in Ascension Parish for like 26 or so years. So, all right, so what I'm doing here is I'm mixing paints, and I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see this. Great. So I'm creating like a dark purple, and this is a really dark blue. You don't have to use this color blue. I'm just using it just because I have it, and I really like the color of it. And I'm using red, and I'm mixing my blue and my red, and I'm making a purple. But I want it to be kind of dark, because that's going to be like the underneath layer. So I'm trying to make it as dark as I can. Okay, something you're going to learn about me, I always make more paint than I need. I'm really, really bad about that. So I'm trying to learn not to put so much paint on my palette, but I haven't succeeded very well yet. You paint seahorses. Oh, I painted one seahorse before, and that was a long time ago. It was actually, Jessica, it was actually, like the nautical scene. I did like the navy blue and white stripes with like a red seahorse on top of it. It was fun. I have not gotten into the like the ocean scenes and all of that yet. I've always stayed towards like the flowers and the barns and the churches and things like that, but I need to venture out and get into that other side. Oh, Brittany, yeah, you're in Livingston Parish. That's the parish right next door. Hey, Leanne. Hey, Logan. How are y'all today? From Tennessee, my nephew lives in Tennessee. He is a computer programmer in Nashville, I think. And my niece just moved out of Tennessee, and now she lives in Chicago after she finished her doctorate degree. Her and her husband moved to Chicago, and she works for PepsiCo. Okay, so on with the painting here. I'm going to start with the leaves. I'm going to take my palette knife, and notice it really doesn't matter what size your palette knife is. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see my green. You cannot see my picture. All right, I'm going to take my green that I just put on my palette, and I'm going to mix it a little bit with the yellow. And I'm going to load up my palette knife. Notice I have a lot of paint here. And I'm going to start by just making some long leaves like that. Now this paint is thick, and it's not drying anytime soon. Well, actually, acrylic paints kind of dry pretty fast. So you're in good shape. I always use a lot of paint. So I'm just trying to make some leaves here by pushing down. And a lot of this is going to get covered up because of the flower. But I want to make sure that I have enough leaves to where I'm not leaving out those background areas. I'm going to make some smaller ones here. And all I'm doing is kind of pressing down, putting some paint, palette knife paint on. And it's okay if it's not perfect, because look, everything that I do is like on that rustic style, so there is no perfect to this at all. And you'd be surprised at what the human eye does for perception when you can if you can create the painting just to kind of look like what you want it to look like. The human eye does miracles on making it look. Now see, I'm trying to come off on the side a little bit to make it a little more unique. You don't have to do that if you don't want. Now, remember, my last live, I talked to y'all about this. I started this free Facebook group a while ago, but I wasn't really active in it. And ever since I decided to do tutorials, I started being a lot more active in the group. So, I'm actually gonna have 2 Facebook groups, but I'm only working on one of them right now. And it's the free one that y'all are a part of. So this one is called Jen's Den Art Fun, which is the free group. And I will continue doing some little tutorials like this. But I'm also working on a paid membership group, which is going to be called Jen's Den Art Tribe. And Jen's Den Art Tribe is going to be more detailed paintings that will give you an opportunity to get more like bigger paintings and more paintings that take maybe a few days to paint. And we're gonna have a private community there once I get that all started. Okay, so what am I doing right now? I'm basically taking the back end of my palette knife and I'm just kind of creating a kind of like a circle to kind of give me like a outline of my big hydrangea. And then I'm going to do another little one down here, and they're going to kind of overlap a little bit. So this group will stay active. This is our free group, and basically the main reason I started the free group is because a lot of you have never painted before. Like I never painted until I started this business, and you don't know if you like painting or not, and you may not know if you like my style or not. So before you're gonna commit to, you know, dive deep into coming into something on a monthly basis with me, then of course you want to know what it all entails. So that's why I'm giving you guys some, you know I'm in Montana now, giving y'all some like practice, because I want you to see like what kind of style I have and if it would be something that you would be interested in being a part of. So that's why I'm doing all of these free tutorials. But I will continue doing free tutorials for you guys. You can stay in this group as long as you want. Oh, good, Jessica. Well, go get all of your painting supplies and you can start painting. Okay, I'm going to take a second and dry this with my handy dandy blow dryer that I paid $7 for on Amazon. Okay, that's good. It's not nearly dry, but at least it's better than it was. Okay, so I see that Leanne said it's 40 degrees in Gonzales. Girl, it's 40 degrees here in Montana, and we're like wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It was like -10 last week, so we had fun with that. That's when I stay inside. Okay. So that's like my first layer of my 2 hydrangeas. It doesn't look anything like a hydrangea. I'm adding some more white on the side because I didn't have enough white for myself. And I got these, I buy the white and the black paint in bulk, like in big containers, because I use so much of it. And I'm not really sure. It says Master's Touch. So I think I got this at Hobby Lobby. But you can get white paint like anywhere. Hey Michelle, how are you? Okay, so my next layer on top of this, I'm still using the same palette knife for everything. I'm gonna mix some of the white in with that purple because I want to make a lighter tint. So I'm just mixing. I'm just using the side of the palette knife and just brushing it all together kind of. And then to get all of the paint off of the palette knife, I just press it down and it comes off pretty easy. All right, and something else that you see, I don't know if you see, I'm using right here. This is an old shirt. Actually, it's my husband's old shirt that he didn't want. And so I use it to like wipe my paintbrushes and stuff like that as I work. But I also have water out on the side. But the first thing I do is I always wipe it on something, because if you just put your like a paintbrush that's full of paint in a bucket of water, it already ruins your water and you have to go change the water out. So I try not to do that very often. Okay, so I'm taking the back side of my palette knife and I'm scraping it in this lighter color purple. And hydrangeas have like 3 petals to 4 petals in one little bitty like bundle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it kind of look like, I'm envisioning in my head, okay, I want to make a little 3-petal or a 4-petal flower right here. So I'm just pressing, and even though it doesn't really look like petals, I know in my head that that's what I'm trying to do. So petal, 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 like 3 petals. Okay, petal, petal, petal. All right, I don't want to cover up all of the underneath, because remember the underneath is a darker color, so I want that to show because that gives it depth. And like this is still really wet, so it's probably not coming out as pretty as I would like it to. You would probably want to let it dry a little bit more. And I do not want it to be a perfect circle. So try to make it like go out to the sides or down somewhere, wherever you want it to go. Petal, petal, petal. And just kind of touching, touching, touching. So in my head, again, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to make 4 petals right here. And they're all going to kind of meet up in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That one's only going to have 3. Oh, good, Jessica. I hope you can join it too. I'm still doing all the text stuff right now. I'm trying to figure out how to get like a payment system going. It's only going to be $24 for the membership, and that's going to include 1 free painting per week. And I mean, if you think about that, that's like $6 a painting. And if you go to those paint parties, you pay like $40 or $45. Of course, you have the supplies, you know, given to you. But I'm starting the group because it's all new and because I don't have any content yet, and I'm creating the content as we go. I'm only starting with $6 a painting. So every week you're gonna get a new painting, and we're gonna paint it together. And 3 of the paintings will be with just me, but the 4th painting will be my husband and I, because one of the components of this subscription is art therapy. And since my husband is a counselor, and he made me realize how much this painting made a difference in my life, and he's like really good at talking and explaining how things like this, putting stuff like this in your life is so good for you. When you find something that you really love that makes you happy, it's great to continue doing it. And he's a wonderful, wonderful, funny person. So I want him to come on with me and kind of do some little counseling sessions with us as we paint. And we'll kind of have like a I told him it's going to be kind of like a podcast, but it's going to be a painting podcast, you know? So I think it'll be a great addition. So what I'm doing right now, I didn't really explain myself very well. What I'm doing right now is I'm adding some more white. And I'm trying to make the purple just a little bit lighter. And then I'm going back with another layer. And it's getting kind of messy, but you know, hydrangeas are messy. So, especially the way I paint them. I am a self-taught artist who started painting like 5 years ago. And I like the rustic, kind of almost like impasto style, like thick paintings where you can see the texture in your paintings. So I experiment a lot, and so far so good. I've been having an Etsy shop since 2015, and I've been selling on there. I feel like I need some, I kind of messed it up a little bit because I'm not paying attention. I feel like I need a little bit more of my darker color down here. So I'm going to come back, because I want it to have like dark at the bottom and then lighter as I go up. Just because the darkness at the bottom kind of acts as a shadow. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that darkness down here. And I'm just kind of just tapping. The paint is like really, really wet. So it's hard to work around it. However, I'm going to show you how we work around this in just a minute. I'm going to add some white in some areas up at the top. And look, remember what we're going for. So we kind of have, oh, you can't see that, can you? Let me put it on this side. So remember what we're going for. Let me see if I can get these. That's kind of what we're going for. So we're getting there. Okay. These are super fun to paint. And I really do. I sell a lot of little shelf sitters like this. Okay. So I'm going to take my same palette knife, and I'm going to make a leaf, like I'm going to make it come like on top of this hydrangea. So because the paint is so wet, I know I need a lot of green on my paintbrush. On my palette knife. Okay. So I'm going to fill it up on the back side. And I just want to make a little, one of my leaves just come over like that. Make it come a little bit wider right there. Just to kind of give it a little more depth. There we go. All right. Hey, Angela, how are you? Let me take a sip of water. Oh, Jessica, you live near the ocean? I bet you love it. Where do you live, Jessica? Yeah, y'all, tell me where you live. Tell me where you live, and do me a favor. If you don't mind, if you could share the post to let more people know, because like I said, I'm just starting out, and I'm trying to get the word out to more people. that I am going to be providing this wonderful service of painting and art therapy. Okay, I'm turning on my handy dandy normally I would not use the blow dryer. I would just paint because I have, like I said, I have like 12 of them to paint. So I would just lay them all out. I would paint all of the leaves, and then I would paint all the hydrangeas. And then by the time I finished that, you know, the first ones that I started would be dry, and then I would go on to the next layer. But since I'm doing this live, I'm trying to make it dry as fast as possible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in the black. And not only the black, but notice that I have some little, like the inside of the little hydrangea flowers. So I'm going to take my little, let's do that first. Let's do the little inside of the flowers. So I'm going to take this little small brush, and I'm going to use, I'm just guessing. I didn't really look at the hydrangea that well to know what color the center of the hydrangea is. And I think they all differ. So I'm going to do kind of like a yellow with some green in it as well. So I'm putting a bunch of paint on my paintbrush because everything else is still wet. So I kind of have like a lime color. All right, in my head, this is what I'm thinking. I am pretending that I see a flower with 3 or 4 petals, and then I'm just tapping in the middle of it. So right here, I see a flower. I'm going to tap right in the middle. Okay, right here I see a flower. I'm going to tap right in the middle. This looks like a flower. And this looks like a flower. That looks like one. So you get the idea. You want it to kind of actually look like a flower. You don't want to just put those dots anywhere. Okay, I'm going to go down here and do the same thing. There's one. Here's another one. I see that one. Yep. There's one. It's almost like you have to squint, you know, to try to get an idea of, looks like one right there. All right, you don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to say that's good. Let me clean that brush off. And I do not like the finished layer here. So I'm going to add, this is the part that I like the most about my style. I'm going to add some black. And the way that I'm going to do this, now remember this is still wet, but I'm going to try to do it the best I can. I'm going to take the back of my palette knife. It's much better if this were completely dry. So I'm going to take the back of my palette knife, and I'm going to just, you don't need a lot of black at all. I'm going to take it and a very, very thin layer. I don't know if you can see that, how thin it is. Oh, you're from California. Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Hey, Candace. Thank you for sharing. Yes, please share. Okay, so here I go. I'm just going to very, very lightly, because this paint is still wet. I don't recommend doing this while the paint's wet, but I'm just going to try. Very lightly touch the top of the textured layers. With the back of the palette knife. Very lightly. If I were doing this at home, I would let it dry a little bit first. Y'all hear my cat? She's getting hungry. Just about dinner time around here. Okay. even on the leaves, and I'm touching like the kind of like the raised areas of the leaves, and then whatever else I have on my palette knife, I'm just kind of pushing it around a little bit. You see how it makes it look rustic? Okay, so I want to add a little bit more depth into the painting. So I'm going to take some black and green, and I'm just mixing the black and green because I want a little bit darker green here. And this is just on the fly. I'm looking at my picture and I'm saying, I don't think it looks that good. See, now I'm messing it up. So I'm trying, not doing a great job of it because it's still wet. I'm trying to add a little bit of darker green in it. Let me get my paintbrush wet. Alright. I dipped my paintbrush in the water. Because my paint was drying on me. I'm going to come back and fix this too. Alright. Just trying to add a little bit darker layers on the leaves. Hey, Christy. All right. Now I'm going to come back. I'm going to stick with my brush just a little while longer. And I'm just going to touch in just to make the little petals look a little bit more like petals. And highlight a couple of little areas there. Kind of give them a little round look. All right, and I'm gonna dry brush a little bit of the white down here. Okay, and I think I'm close to being done. So there we go. There's my hydrangea shelf sitter. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please share this video and let people see what we're doing in this group. And remember, over the next couple of weeks, I will be announcing the enrollment into my Jen's Den Art Tribe. And the only part of Jen's Den Art Tribe that is like this is the community of the Facebook group. In the Facebook group, we will have a private Facebook group, but I will also have a website where all of the tutorials that I create will go into this big bank or this big library, basically. And once you join the Art Tribe, then what your subscription is getting you is access to that bank of all of those tutorials that I'm creating. And the tutorials that I create, again, in the Art Tribe are going to be tutorials that are, thank you, Debbie, tutorials that are larger paintings. Like, let me show you one that I did. I'm hoping you can see me here. Let's see if you can see me here. Hey. Here's one that I did just the other day. So I'm going to be sharing tutorials more like this, like the very explicit paintings that take more than just 45 minutes to paint. And they're not little kitty paintings that are like cartoonish. So I don't like painting those kind of things. I like to paint things that are more on the fine art side. So I don't have a lot of paintings in stock right now because I've sent them off to a store where I sell my artwork. So I'm just starting to paint a lot again once the holidays are over and once we only moved here like 4 months ago. So I'm just starting to get my art studio together. Here's another one that I painted. And this to me is a little more childish than I like to do, but this has been hanging in my bathroom because I like the colors. The colors are my favorite colors. It's the same color as my brand. And this is one that I did for Thanksgiving. So those are the types of paintings that I would be doing in the art tribe. So it's not open yet, but it will be open hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I'm still working out the logistics in the website. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to get finished up, but hopefully I can. But I'm also trying to paint at the same time, so you know, it's kind of like a catch-22. So if you have any questions, thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate it. And please, if you haven't shared yet, please go ahead and share. And I will be back again. I'm going to try to be live at least twice a week in this group and give you some experience to let you see a little bit about what I'm all about and what I'm trying to promote and create here. And I'm so excited for all of you to be a part of this community. And I hope you stay tuned because I have lots and lots and lots to share. And I'm just starting. So it's only going to get better as it goes on. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.